So, all right, so take a comfortable seat to start this practice today. Sitting on bolsters or blankets, cushions, whatever you have around the house, around your yoga space. And once you're settled in, I'd like to invite you into our mudra this week. So our mudra is Hridaya mudra. Hridaya translates as the heart space. So for Hridaya mudra, you take your right hand and just rest it over the front of your heart center here. Even though your physical heart is off to the left a little bit, in the yoga traditions, the heart center is here in the middle. And then you take the left hand over the right. It's also specific in the notes about this Hridaya mudra that you leave a little bit of space between the right palm and the skin of your breastbone. So just a little bit of a space there. And then the left hand comes over the right. And then relax your shoulders. If you feel like closing your eyes. And this mudra helps us to seek divine refuge. So when we think about that word divine, we all have our own ways of connecting to that greater flow of life. And it could be something as nature, or as a specific God or being, or just a sense of spaciousness around you. So however you connect, whatever it is that helps you feel connected to something greater. And we can find some comfort in that. And this mudra also helps release tension from the chest. And it can support the health of our immune system. And it can also help us to connect when we have challenging situations or experiences that might be going on in our life, that we can just open up to some greater support. So as you're here with your heart mudra today, sensing into your breath, and just into being here with yourself for another moment. Maybe you feel the hands where they touch and sensation, or you feel the breath as it moves through your body. Or perhaps this mudra evokes some sort of feeling, a thought, or an emotion for yourself. Whatever it is for you. Connecting there. And then you can keep your hands right where they are as you just bow your head towards your own heart and to the hearts of others, of course. And then release your hands. All right. So we're just going to start. We're going to do a little bit of focus on the shoulders and the upper body, upper back in the first part of practice today. So I'd like you to, just for a moment, bring your fingertips to your left collarbone. So you can feel right in the center, at the top of the breastbone, there's a little notch there. And then off to the left, you'll find your collarbone there. And if you go just below the collarbone, just slightly below, and just start to gently massage the tissue that's right under the collarbone there. So you do this to your own comfort level, of course, what feels right for you, but you don't have to press really hard. You're just sort of just sensing we're getting landmarks here, as well as giving yourself a little bit of release, a little bit of massage release. And then right above the collarbone, we're going to go, and there's a little valley there. And you can kind of start to take your fingertips and move into that space across, moving out towards The shoulder gets a little bony there, right? So you can stay in the soft tissue area. So that's the top of the collarbone. And then the last place we're going to go on the left side is right on the back of finding the shoulder blade here. And you take your fingers, here's right the crease of the armpit, find the shoulder blade and just that outside border. So the border that's on the side of your ribs, you'll feel like an edge there. And so some of these muscles here are your rotator cuff muscles. Some are also the serratus muscle, which is they call it the boxing muscle. So when you punch something, those muscles activate. And sometimes they feel a little tender in there. So just kind of getting a sense there. All right, now let that go and just observe for a moment if there's any difference at all between left side, right side. Just notice if there's space or if anything feels a little freer there. Okay, and then let's go over to the other collarbone. So right side, starting at the center notch, and then the collarbone is here, and then go beneath it and just kind of massage gently the tissue along here. So these are the pectoralis muscles, the muscles that connect from the arm to the ribs. And part of your shoulder blade connects in there too. And these muscles can get super rigid from just, overuse or computer or just having your arms out in front of you a lot. And then we'll go up above the collarbone to that little valley there. And so starting to feel the tissue there. Now this is more in the levator scapula, which kind of connects into the neck muscles. Sometimes your neck and jaw can get tense and these muscles can play a part. And then, so feeling that. And then the last place we'll go would be on the shoulder blade. So you'll have to feel around with your opposite hand there for the edge and just kind of sense that outer border and just massage in there with your fingers. And again, this can be a little bit sensitive or feel intense. I know it does on my left side particularly. Those muscles get a little tender as well. But it's really good to know where all of these pieces are. So your arm, your collarbone, and your shoulder blade are what make up your shoulder girdle. Okay, so let that go. And then just notice, perhaps you might feel just a little bit of just some energy there, some prana that we moved in the tissue here. Now we're going to come over onto the floor and you'll need either a bolster or a rolled up blanket. And we're going to do some extension over the roll. So you'll want to have a thick, chunky roll here. So start with a folded blanket and then rolling it up. And again, you could use a bolster. It doesn't have to be a round bolster either. It could be a rectangular bolster. And have a block nearby. So we're placing the roll across your mat. And this one will be familiar. We'll be laying down with the roll right at around the bottom of the shoulder blades here. Okay. And then you'll just bring your fingertips behind your head. Feet are on the floor. And keep your gaze towards your thighs for a moment. So your head is your chin. The space between your chin and your chest is just a little bit there. And then just let your head release back into your hands. Take a nice breath. Now, where we're going to back bend from is right at those vertebrae where the upper back is. So as you go backwards, keep the same amount of space between your chin and your chest. And then as you exhale, you'll feel your abdominals work as you come up a little. So we're going to go back into a little back bend and then up into a little forward bend. And see if you can sense your upper back doing some movement here. Does your jaw want to get tense when you do this? Or sometimes even the pelvis or the muscles of the floor of the pelvis want to clench when we do this. So just noticing if neighboring areas want to tense. We'll do just a couple more here. All right, now next time you come up, just take your block and place it behind your head where your fingers were. So you're holding the block in the widest width with your palms on either side of the block, and the block is supporting the back of your head. You're still gazing towards the legs and still keeping the same amount of space between your chin and your chest now as you start to curl back. So your elbows can be a little wider. They don't have to hug into the sides of the head. Just see how this feels with the block supporting your head versus having your hands back there. And we'll just do about 3 more. So we're just warming up through the upper back spine. Stay with your breath. All right. And then we'll stay one hand behind your head here so you can roll over to one side. And then let's move the roll off to the side for a moment and lay back down onto your back. And we'll grab your belt, have your belt nearby. But before we use the belt, let's just check out what you notice through the upper back. Let your arms relax wherever they will, and perhaps even roll your head side to side along the floor. So you can feel the relaxing space around the jaw, the base of the skull, maybe the tops of the shoulders. Just let your head roll gently side to side, and then gradually letting your head come back into more of a stillness. And then we'll take your strap. You can have a nice long strap here. Take your left knee in and take the belt around the bottom of your left foot, and we'll bring your left leg up to the sky. Now, when you hold the belts, sometimes we can add some tension into our arms and hands and shoulders. So what I'd like you to just do here is just let go of the straps for a moment and let the work come from your leg, just being held up by the muscles of your leg here. So that you can sense that your shoulders don't have to kick in a lot to hold the straps. So then take hold of the straps in just a way that your shoulders don't get more tense, okay? So we can use our legs to help hold up our leg. And then we're just going to take the leg out to the left and over and across to the right. Now you can have your bottom leg straight if you want, or the right knee bent. Just moving your leg across side to side. So the bigger you go, the more you might find that your pelvis wants to rock and tilt side to side, which is fine. And if you want to just move in the more of the hip range, then I would move in a range where the pelvis doesn't get so, doesn't rock too much here. So just do what feels good. Go a couple more times, side to side. And then return the leg into center, and let's flex and point the foot a couple times. Say hello to our ankles. And then from there, just bend the left knee towards the left shoulder, but only as far as the sole of your foot still points up to the sky. So it's like a kind of like a half happy baby here. And then press into the belt to stretch the legs straight. And then we'll do that a few more times. So left knee comes in towards the shoulder, but again, only as far as your sole of your foot points up, and then push up through the strap. So you're reaching through the leg. Let's do 2 more like that. So really feel as if you had a heavy weight on the bottom of your left foot to help you press through the leg to straighten the leg. Awesome. And then we'll go ahead and release the left foot down to the floor. And let's switch over to the right leg. Bring the strap around the bottom of the right foot. And you can do that little check-in with your hands free, just to make sure you're not using your arms and neck and tension to hold the strap. And then you can hold the strap mindfully and go side to side. So over to the left and to the right. And so remembering your intention today as you're moving, just really stay present to your experiences, and also remembering that outside sort of support that's also within you, right? That never not present sense of being that can help nurture us when we're in challenging times, difficult times. All right, let's come back into the middle, flex and point a little bit. Check in with your hands and shoulders. And then pause, bend the right knee towards the right shoulder, but again, sole of the foot stays facing the ceiling. And then push through the foot to straighten the leg. And then we'll do that a few more times. So knee bends, and press through the foot, even the heel reaching up a little bit. See if you can connect from your hip to your foot as you do this. So you're not just locking the knee to straighten, but you're feeling the reach from the foot upward. And we'll do one more. And then we'll go ahead and take the strap away. Let's roll onto one side. Okay, now we'll come onto your hands and knees. Do a little bit of shoulder and hip stuff lying on our back. So now we'll come over to your table position. Now you can have blocks under your hands if you want. Let's come into a little cat-cow, rounding the back, tucking the tail, inhaling as you lengthen through the tail and the crown. And feel the whole spine moving in both directions today. And as you're here, just become aware of your fingers, the palms of your hands, and how the wrists feel in this position. And is there an ease in the upper back, neck, and shoulders as you're moving through this wave of cat-cow? And then make your way to a middle place now, more neutral spine. Now we're going to shift the hips back a little bit so the shoulders are behind the wrists, and then lower the forearms all the way to the floor. Palms stay on the ground. And then press down through the palms, straighten the arms, and shift the shoulders forward over the wrists. So we'll do that a few times. So we're going back, hips go back, elbows come down, press through the palms to straighten the elbows, and then shift shoulders forward. So shoulders back, lower the elbows, press through the palms. When you press through the palms like that, let's go forward, back again. Now, when you start to lower down and you press through the palms, those outer shoulder blade muscles there that you were massaging, these are kicking in. So let's do, this is nice work for the back of the arm and the shoulder. So we'll get into a little flow, do a couple more like this. I actually did these, I think this was on Sunday, and Monday I had a little sore in the back of my arms. They were a little muscle soreness there. So let's do one more. All right, awesome. And then from there, tuck the toes, press back into dog pose. Now, if you want to stay on your knees in puppy pose, that's fine as well. If you're in dog, separate your feet a little wider, bend the knees. As the knees bend, hips go back, and knees as wide as the ankles. And then bring the feet a little more hip distance apart. Come forward into plank. You can be down on your knees here. We're going to lower onto the front of the body. All right. So now you're on your stomach. Just going to make sure my microphone is not getting muffled here. And bring your arms. Now your arms can either be, depending on how your shoulders feel, your arms can be out to the side in a T position, or you can bring them a little higher up into maybe a Y position, like the letter Y, with palms facing the floor. So whatever feels best. And we'll keep the feet on the floor, the legs down. And now just the forehead towards the floor. Let's just float the right arm off the floor and just feel from the shoulder blade through the arm and hand, and then lower the right hand back down. Let's lift the left arm and just notice what other places want to kick in here, maybe in the upper back or shoulders. And then lower the left arm. Let's lift the right arm again. Just feel some work through the whole arm line there, and then lower down, and then left side. And lower that down. Now bring your arms alongside your body, palms face the sky. And then let's lift the arms up so we feel the back of the arms again. And then float the head and the collarbones a little bit. So legs are still down. And just feel what you feel, really. Nice work through the back of the arms, perhaps. And then go ahead and lower down, rest. We'll do that one more time. Lift arms, lift chest, maybe just the collarbones lift a little bit, maybe the head. And then lower everything back down. Slide the hands by the sides of the chest. We'll press up and away from the floor. Lift the knees and press back to down dog. And then step your feet forward to the top of your mat. Now here, take one block and place it between the upper inner thighs in the skinniest position. And then the other block can be, if you need support under your hands, you can also do this variation of a forward bend here with your elbows on the thighs. Give a little hug to the block. Feel the feet connect to the earth as you bow over the legs. And then inhale, stand all the way up. We'll keep the block between the upper inner thighs. Sweep the arms up and around, hands to the heart. And again, inhale, arms, and exhale, heart. One more time, inhale. And exhale. All right, now take your other blocks. So if you hopefully have two blocks for this, if you only have one block, you'll take the one that's out from your legs and hold on to the block. Hold the block with the widest width again. We're going to take the block behind your head, sort of how we had it when we were lying on the roll. Now, elbows can be tricky because if we really try to pull the elbows in towards the head, that can actually increase tension around the neck and shoulders. So I'll invite you here just to let your elbows be in a comfortable place. So they might be out to the side a little bit, that's fine. All right. Now from here, just go ahead and start to press your head back a little bit into your block. Feel just in the upper back here, just a little bit of extension or back bend happening. And then if you like now, see if you can feel the reach of the elbows upward towards the ceiling. So reach the elbows up as you curl back. So it just changes the way the shoulders integrate in this little back bend here. And then go ahead and relax, bring the arms, the blocks out in front of you. All right, and then we'll take the block out from between your legs here now. Keep this block in your hands as you step your right foot back into warrior one. So we'll ground the right heel today. So we're steady through the back leg, bending into the front knee. Warrior one, the hips stay square to the front. Let's take the block behind your back. Again, the widest width. Hold between your hands. Keeping the block resting on your bum. And just getting a sense here around, remember the collarbones? The collarbones, we feel soft, not a grip here, right? Not in the front of the shoulder. The shoulder blades around the back, there's a little engagement there, but not up and around the top of the neck or into the neck itself. All right. So warrior one, bring the block out in front, hold the block out in front of you and start to lift the arms up. So just as far as feels good here in your shoulders, coming into a little flexion through the arms, steady through the legs. Draw the block down to heart center, bring the right foot forward. And switch. Warrior one, take the left leg back. We'll ground the heel for a little extra stability. And then just settle into your legs. Take the block behind you. So let's stay connected here with awareness around the collarbones, the arm bone, the upper arm bone itself, and the shoulder blades. So just sort of getting a sense of your upper body and feeling all of that. That's very complex there. Another place to really sense if there's tension is around, again, the top of the shoulders, jaw. Just nice, easy breath here. All right, and then bring the block out in front of you. Hold it in the widest width. Take the arms up. Warrior one, Virabhadrasana one. Just find a nice, comfortable range here for your arms. Now you can reach up through the arms a little bit if you like. The shoulder blades can slide upward a little, if you can feel that. Grounding down through the legs. And then hands come down, step the back foot forward. Lovely. All right. And then we'll take the block to the floor. Let's inhale the arms up and bow forward. Exhale. Uttanasana, standing forward bend. We're going to step the right foot back. Bring the right knee down to the floor. Grab some padding under your knee if you like. Okay, and then we'll bring your hands to your front thigh. So we'll stretch out the front of the right hip and thigh here. So in the front of the hip, I was kind of just geeking out on my anatomy a little bit earlier and was reminded that there's 4 muscles of your thighs, 4 quadricep muscles, and only one of them crosses from your leg to your pelvis. So when you're here in this position, that's the one you most probably feel it's called the rectus femoris, and it crosses the knee, but also crosses the thigh and to the pelvis. So it influences the way your leg swings when you walk. So here, we're walking your front foot out a little bit, just moving your pelvis forward to what feels good. Getting a little stretch. Now, take your right arm up to the sky and just reach from the shoulder out upward. So you're maybe increasing a little bit of length along the front of the right hip. Perhaps you want to side bend a little to the left here if that feels good. So we don't want to overstretch, but just stay in a range that feels length, space, and not tense. All right, and then let's bring the hands down to your blocks and we'll stretch out the hamstrings now as you move your hips backwards, coming into a runner stretch. So you can have your blocks under your hands. Stay on the heel of the front foot. So you probably don't feel any stretch on the right leg now, right? Because we've taken the hips backwards, feeling the stretch on the left leg. And we'll just stay here for another breath. You can explore flexing and pointing the front foot if you want. See how that changes the stretch in your calf, the back of your leg. All right. And then bend the front knee. Now, I'll give you a couple options. You can take a down dog in between sides if you really want to do down dog here. Or you can just do a simple switch, bringing the other foot forward. Eventually, let's all bring the right foot forward into this low lunge and hands come to the front leg. And now we'll start to walk the front foot forward. As you come forward, you'll feel that, again, that quadricep muscle, along with some other hip muscles in there, of course, but you'll feel the one that crosses from the thigh to the pelvis. That's the one that's getting a little bit extra stretch here or extra sensation. We don't want to push the leg too far forward in the hip socket because that can stress or strain the front of the hip. So try not to overdo the stretch here, okay? Now we'll take the left arm up and reach from the shoulder blade upward. Maybe you want to do a little side bending to the right. Let's see how that feels in your front of your hip, thigh, outer side body. And one more breath here. Okay, and then we'll bow forward, draw the hips back, coming into runner stretch, straightening out through the front knee a little more. Some days my right knee doesn't straighten it all the way, and that's okay. So the hamstrings, they connect to the back of the pelvis, and the hamstrings actually connect behind the knee and to the calf. So they cross a couple of joints as well, the hip and the knee. So this is can be a tricky set of muscles to stretch here. And stay with your breath. You can flex and point your foot. All right. And then we'll come back into lunge, take the blocks aside, bring your front foot back, and let's come back into downward dog now. Breathing gently, fully into your ribs around the back, sides, and front. Come forward into plank pose and lower to your stomach. We'll do another Superman variation here. So arms out to the side this time, maybe a little lower than shoulder height. Now we'll lift, keep the legs down, lift both arms. And again, just at the collarbones, throat, head, even the tips of the ears lift back a little bit. Now you can keep the arms hovering away from the floor and lower them down a little towards the hips. Just play with, in this range of motion here, going a little more out to the side and then lower towards, down towards the legs, and just feel how that feels in your arms and shoulders as you play with this little bit of hover. Now you can also really just kind of glide your hands along the floor if it's too much. All the different muscles working in the back of the shoulders. And then go ahead and rest. Make a pillow with your hands. Rest your forehead down. And then we'll just connect into your legs now. So float just your right leg up off the floor. And hopefully you can feel your right bum, your right back of the thigh and lower leg. And then bring it back down. And then we'll go over to the left side. So as you lift the left leg, feel not in your back so much, but in the glutes. And breathe, and then lower that side. We'll go right side again. Maybe one side feels a little stronger than the other. And lower down, and we'll lift left. And lower down. And one more time, right side. And lower down, and left side. And release back down. Now bring your hands to the floor. We're going to come onto our knees into a tall kneeling position here for a moment. And grab your blocks again. Okay. So from this kneeling position, it's sunny in here, we'll take your one block skinniest direction between your thighs, kind of like we did when you were standing. Turn this way. And then the other block. So just going, before I use the other block here, just notice the crease of the front of your hip here, where your leg meets your pelvis. And for me, I tend to have a little bit of tension through my hip flexors and psoas. So there's always a little bit of a crease here for me. And it's just interesting, right? So some of you may be more or less have less of a hip crease here. So don't worry if you do, just to kind of be where you are. So you're not tensing your back to get your thighs to push forward. Okay, so just be where you are there. Take the other block, widest width behind your head again, and you'll feel the edge down near the base of the skull. Okay. And then just rest a moment here. Find that comfortable space for your elbows. So you don't need to pull them towards each other here. And then begin to lengthen a little. And just again, we're just focusing on the upper back. So you press the head back. It's not camel pose necessarily. It's just what we can feel in a little bit of nurturing our upper back here. So the throat may be open, pressing the head back. Now stay here or lift the elbows up a little. Reach the elbows upward as you curl back. You'll see how that feels in your shoulders. All right, and then return to center. Bring the block back and around. Okay, take your block aside. Let's come up to stand now. So we're going to use our wall, a little bit of wall space now. As you're coming up, just take a moment to maybe come into mountain pose or do a few shoulder rolls. Notice how you're feeling in your shoulders, your neck, your upper back. Okay. And then we'll take your left hand fingertips to the wall. You'll stand about an arm's distance from the wall here. Now you can decide how high you want your hand. It can be a little higher than your shoulder. It can be in line with the shoulder, just whatever distance feels okay in your shoulder. And then bring the palm flat to the wall. So we went from fingertips to a flat palm. And just notice as you do that, did anything change up in your neck and shoulders there? So if we have tension down in the hand, it can migrate up towards the neck. Or if we have tension in the neck, it can migrate down into the hand. So does it feel okay to have your palm flat on the wall? Okay. And then we'll start to turn your toes and your nose towards the center of the room. So we're turning away from the hand. And just be conscious that your shoulder's not lifting towards your ear as you do that. Nice breath here. Now what you can also add, if you like, is nod one ear towards one shoulder and then other ear towards the shoulder. So just tilt your head side to side and notice the difference when you go right ear to right shoulder and left ear toward left shoulder. And let your jaw relax. Okay, and then just take one more breath as you bring your head back to center. All right, and then return your feet to center and come away from the wall there. And let's go to the other side. So let's start with fingertips on the wall, like a tent, fingers. You decide how high you want your arm, fingers. And then let your palm press into the wall. So I can feel that through my thumbs a little, my thumb and my inner forearm there. Okay, so find a place that feels pretty comfortable and then start to turn your toes and your nose to the center of the room some. So you're still connecting to the wall. If your fingers or your arm starts to prickle or tingle, those sometimes are nerves getting compressed. So that might be a little too much. Maybe then you can back off of your turning away, okay? And then you can try tilting your head side to side. See how that feels on this side. Let the shoulders relax. It's like a mantra, right? Shoulders relax. All right. And then bring your head to center. And then let's bring the hand away. And we'll just check it out here. Feels kind of free now. All right. So turn to face the long edge of your mat, and you'll just need one block. And we'll take a wide stance. We'll turn your right leg in. We're coming into a triangle stance here. Turn your left leg out. Okay. Now we're going to just take the block and place it at the front of the left hip crease. So right where your leg and your hip meet here. Okay. And what I'd like you to do is push the block into your hip a little as you tilt over this left leg, so that we're starting to really feel that we're bending at this crease of the hip. So the opposite side of the pelvis will sweep out to the right. Okay, so a lot of times what happens in triangle is we don't move so much at the hips and we just kind of side bend, but you can see nothing much is happening there. So we want to tilt at the hips. Okay, and then wherever you land, stay there, bring your block down. Now, if it's close to the floor, you can certainly put it on the floor on the inside of the foot and bring your fingertips to the block and take the other arm up. So you're in triangle. If you find though that if you have a little limited in the hamstrings, you might just be here, and that's fine too. So you don't have to force yourself to get to the floor or to the block. All right, now bring your top hand to your hip, bend the front knee. We're going to take the block with us, step in and up to half moon pose. Bring the block under your shoulder, fingertips on the block if you like, and float the back leg up. And sometimes we tend to really draw this right shoulder blade back, pull it strongly back. So see if you can not quite so intensely pull the right shoulder blade back. So just keep that a little more relaxed there. Bring the arm up if you want. Gaze down at the floor, soft eyes. All right, and then we'll step back and come all the way to stand. Okay, so let's do triangle to the other side. So left leg in, right leg out, and then take your block in your right hand here, and we can just kind of use it as a little nudge to tilt to get that hip movement there. This is really, really important to be able to bend at your hip like this. It'll save your hips for sure. Okay, so then stay in your tilt there in triangle pose. Maybe your block is close to the floor or not. I could probably use 2 blocks here. Take the other arm up. You can look down at the floor. You can look straight ahead. You can play with turning your head, gaze up. Remember, that's a lot of neck movement there. So do what feels good in your neck. And then hand to your waist, look down. Carry your block forward off to the left, or off to the right rather, as you come into Ardha Chandrasana. So the hand is under the shoulder. Steady through the legs, reaching through the left leg. One of my favorite poses, this half moon. All right, and then find the floor there and come all the way back up to standing. Awesome, and then step your feet back together. Let's just tune in here. Come into Hridaya Mudra. So right hand over the heart, left hand over the right. Relax the shoulders. Stand in your feet. Stand in your own steadiness. Lovely. And then release your hands. So we're going to come down onto the floor. I'll give you a couple of options. You can use a blanket. Now the options here, we're going to sit with, this is option one, sit with the feet off to the left side. So both feet off to the left. And you can either have the right sole of the foot against the thigh here. If you're like, you know, Kath, this just doesn't feel right for me. I feel like I'm going to fall sideways or my hips bother me when I do this. Then take this seat with a cross-legged position. All you've really done is shifted the way your leg moves in your pelvis. So it's not like you're, you know, limited or less than because you can't do that, right? So I'm going to sit with my legs off to the side. So you choose which one you'll go with. And then we'll take a twist towards the right. Take the left hand to the knee and the other hand behind. This is Bharadvajasana 1. So you can feel the rotation now through the torso, through the upper back, and perhaps the head can turn towards the right as well. Explore your breath in this twist. Remember the breath around the area of the diaphragm is right at the low ribs. See if you can notice one side is a little bit more contracted and one side, your right side, might be a little more open. And then come out of the twist. Now, if you're sitting in Sukhasana, if you're this way, you can do this. It's just going to be a different stretch for you. If your both feet are off to the side, either way, we're going to angle over the right leg and start to walk your hands out. Now, you may be able to go further. This is similar to pigeon. You may be able to go further if you have both feet off to one side. Okay, so just kind of monitor how far you want to go. And then if you're in this position here with your legs back behind you, you can press into the outer right thigh a little. And that lights up those muscles as they stretch. This left sit bone can come off the floor here in this variation. And then we'll walk the hands back in. And then we'll take our feet to the other side, or you can cross the other shin in front if you're sitting this way. And we'll take a twist to the left. Right hand comes across, left hand behind. And letting the head turn comfortably as it wants to. I find my range of motion increases when I don't force my range of motion in general. It just seems to allow there to be some improvement without tension. Now you can feel the twist here in the ribs. Maybe the right side feels a little more contracted. Okay, then unwind your twist and we'll angle out over this left leg, starting to walk your hands out. Press the outside of your leg into the floor if you're in this feet back behind you position. And just breathe. Nice little outer hip stretch here. And then come back up. Lovely. And then we'll just take your legs into a wide V position here. Remember, you can be sitting up on some bolsters, and I always like to show this one. You can take the blocks and place them under the backs of your knees with your knees bent. This can be really great for those of us that have really tight hamstrings. So you won't feel a stretch as much, but it might give you some ability to tilt your pelvis forward. And then you can bring your hands out in front of you. Okay. This also, with the knees supported, it can help root the thigh bones a little deeper in the hip sockets. Stretching out the back. And take one more breath here. And then walk your hands back in and draw your legs towards one another. Let's make our way onto our back for Savasana. So I'll give you a couple of options for Savasana tonight. Blanket under your head is great, always. You could also take the soles of your feet together and support your outer legs with the blocks. So you can turn the block a little bit at a diagonal here, so the flat part rests against the skin of your legs, which is kind of nice. So this is a great resting place. You could also, of course, put your legs up a wall or a chair. You could even put the blocks under your knees this way for a little back support. And then just let your palms open to the sky once you arrive. If it would feel nice, you can roll your head side to side once again. Letting it gradually come into its own stillness. And feel your whole body just gradually settling down. And take your attention now right to the center of the collarbones. So that little notch right in the center of the collarbones there, in the center of the heart. Imagine that you had little portholes under your collarbones all along the front of the chest, all the way out to the armpits. And you could just breathe into those little windows. Breathing into the space of the ribs, shoulders, upper back. Let your belly relax. The muscles around your hips and thighs and buttocks relax. Let your calves and shins, the muscles all around your lower legs, ankles, tops of the feet, soles of the feet, all the way to the tips of the toes. You'll feel the breath as it just, again, flows into this space of the heart. Feel the weight of the arms relax along the floor, all the way to the hands and fingers. The weight of your head, your whole head relax. Your whole body relax. And begin to welcome back in the sounds around your room. Stretch through your fingers, your toes as you like. Perhaps reluctantly, coming away from the floor now as you roll to one side. Gather yourself in and come back up into sitting. And once you arrive, if you'd like, you can bring your hands to Hridaya Mudra again, just to connect back into this heart space. The hearts of each other and the greater flow of life. We'll take this practice with us into the balance of our day. Share one Om. Take a nice inhale. Om. Thank you all.